Hey, Clenny. Come and hae a keek at my feckin' crest. Hey, but he'd need to grow up first, piece tomb with his feckin' mouth. And drag him so lower here to date. Hey, I waited long enough. I'm nae waiting nae more. He can come and find me when he finally gets his shite together. Hey. I said you'd open your yap like that to Helen Sutherland McGregor. You feckin' dolin' cunt, would ya, Kerr-Kenny?
10, 9, 8.
The jetzt nie beide open.
I forget it's our day, Dorte with me. I can't take 6 lens for a can such as he. I'll stand on the brae with a calm and high. Sutherland's blood in my veins running dry. McGregor fire in my chest, burning Brishney lowland mouth all dim my lick. He can we words like a bairn on a tear. Head and shame fear, a thumb disappear. I watch the gate swing shut and slow. The Glen can dwell, he'd never show. I'm the storm on the hill, the cry of the crow, the lassie adore by the level yellow. I rise with the clans that walked up for me. I rise with the names you never measure nor see. Hill and roar, my throat set free. You'll ken the shame of what you did to me. I'm the echo you'll hear when the niche turns black. On the step you fear, I'll never turn back. You left me waiting at the turn of the stone by the hill, and the women didn't wait a lane. I shut the yets on the pride you broke, left you standing in your ain't damn smoke. Kerr-Kenny words when he honored our spine. You spoke to your lasso, an older line. I cut the cord with a single breath and marked your name with Highland I'm the storm on the hill, the cry of the crow, the lassie adore by the level yellow. I rise with the clans that walked up for me. I rise with the names you never measure nor see. Hill and roar, my throat set free. You'll ken the shame of what you did to me. I'm the echo you'll hear when the night turns black. On the step you fear, I'll never turn back.
Grow up, lad. Pull your tomb with your mouth. Come find me when you've found the truth. McGregor, Sutherland, Macmillan. I'll walk the glen with the clan at my side. They ken the truth, nae lowland can hide. I dinna bend to a man o' shame. I dinna fall to a coward's name. The jetzt dinna bide open.
I'm the storm on the hill, the cry of the crow, the lassie adore by the level yellow. I rise with the clans that walked up for me. I rise with the names you never measure nor see. Hill and roar, in my throat set free. I'll ken the shame of what you did to me. I'm the echo you'll hear when the night turns black. On the step you fear, I'll never turn back.
Dinny bide open.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are opening a source file that is fundamentally different from anything we've tackled before.
It really is.
We're stepping away from, public policy or science and zooming in on a conflict that, while it's intensely personal, was documented with the forensic rigor of a major historical event.
I mean, the level of detail is just staggering.
We are examining the comprehensive record of a relationship rupture that has been formally titled the Thin Ice Incident.
That's absolutely right. And for this deep dive, our sources aren't academic journals. Not at all. We have a meticulously itemized case file.
Okay.
A 5-day timeline, broken down literally to the minute, tracking this escalation of what the file calls emotional misconduct.
From when to when?
From Tuesday, November 18th, 2025, right through to Saturday, November 22nd. And critically, we have the ultimate verdict. It was rendered in the form of an official musical release.
The song.
The song. The lyrics to The Shaming of a Kerr-Kenny.
So our mission today is to analyze the anatomy of this 5-day escalation. Because this isn't just, a breakup story. The file presents it as a ceremonial and permanent rupture.
Yes, rooted in emotional negligence and a profound disrespect for certain cultural invitations.
And we really need to decode the strong Scots dialect that runs through the correspondence and, of course, the final shaming lyrics. We are hunting for that precise moment.
The single point of failure.
Exactly. The exact moment when the relationship moved from a repairable conflict to an irrevocably sealed consequence.
It really serves as this extraordinary, almost clinical study in accountability, or more accurately, the stunning failure of it.
The case file leaves nothing to chance, does it?
Not a thing.
Yeah.
It lays out 6 specific charges, a series of physical and digital exhibits, and then the findings delivered by what the document calls the gatekeepers of the Six House.
Which takes a private heartbreak and just transforms it.
It transforms it into a documented public judgment. It's fascinating.
Okay, let's unpack this. This is some intense material.
Let's do it.
So part 1. The sources frame this entire event as a 5-day escalating process, and it begins very quietly on Tuesday, November 18th, 2025. This is what the file calls the genesis of the freeze.
Right. And it starts with Cherie making a declaration of vulnerability.
It's really early in the morning.
Very early. 5:30 a.m. EST. Cherie sends a message to Jack, and she conveys critical information. She says she is dysregulated.
And she makes it clear why.
She makes it crystal clear. This state is a direct result of his actions. So this isn't some generalized, I'm having a bad day kind of message.
No, it's specific. It's an accusation in a way.
It's a statement of cause and consequence. It's the relationship equivalent of sounding a critical alarm.
And Jack's immediate response. This is what becomes the famous Exhibit 2, right? The handwritten note.
The very same. The note that's later placed at the scene of the crime, so to speak.
His reply is just devastatingly dismissive.
All it says is, chill, Biddy.
Chill, Biddy.
That phrase, which is so casual, so flippant, it instantly forms the basis of the very serious charge, too. Dismissive language toward a dysregulated person. The source material really spends time on this. It highlights that Chill Biddy did more than just ignore the alarm she sounded.
It invalidated it.
It actively minimized her state. It reduced genuine dysregulation, real emotional distress, to something trivial, something she could just be commanded to stop feeling.
So he's not just ignoring the consequence of his actions.
He's attempting to negate her emotional reality itself.
Okay, I have to push back a little here just for a second. In our world of, quick texts and shorthand, is Chill Biddy really worthy of being a formal charge, one that leads to a ceremonial rupture?
It's a fair question. But according to the gatekeepers, the answer is yes, absolutely. The context is everything.
Right.
When someone explicitly says, I am dysregulated because of you, the expectation is grounding. It's accountability, or at the very least, curiosity. Like, what happened? Tell me more.
But to respond with a casual, diminishing command.
The source material defines that as an active, calculated failure of empathy. It communicates, your complex emotional state is trivial and, frankly, inconvenient to me.
And that's where the malice is.
However casual, yes, that's where it lies.
It suggests her feelings are just a choice.
Yeah.
And he's ordering her to choose differently.
Precisely. And then the second blow, what the file calls the second minimization, comes barely an hour later.
At 6:51 a.m.
Yes, Jack signs off with, night, small one.
Wow.
So after dismissing her distress, he then infantilizes her right before withdrawing. It reinforces the dismissal with this really condescending tone.
And the source material says?
It notes, the freeze begins immediately after this message. The ice has officially started to form.
And what follows this initial minimization is what establishes the most fundamental charge. This is charge 1.
Failure of presence.
The 24-hour silence.
This is the sustained neglect. It's crucial. From 6:51 a.m. on Tuesday, November 18th, right up until the same time on Wednesday, November 19th, a full day.
And Cherie withdraws, which you'd expect after being minimized twice like that.
Of course. And the expectation, given her very clear declaration of dysregulation, was that Jack would, realize his flippancy and check in. offer some kind of grounding or an apology.
But the timeline confirms Jack does nothing.
Nothing at all. He fails to check in even once. And this prolonged period is specifically documented as willful neglect of connection during a moment requiring known grounding and care.
So it wasn't just, a communication breakdown.
No, the file's clear. It was a sustained, conscious absence, precisely when the other person was known to be vulnerable and in distress because of his prior conduct.
This 24-hour vacuum of care, it really establishes the foundation for the whole rupture.
Exactly. That initial wound, the chilbity, it's left to just fester in that sustained silence.
So the sources are very clear then. The initial crime was the words, but the sentence was secured by the silence that followed.
Absolutely. That sustained silence ends 24 hours later, and that initiates the second, much more dramatic stage of this whole incident.
Wednesday morning,
and Shri emerges from the freeze. But not with anger, which is interesting. She comes back with an olive branch.
But it's a very conditional one.
Oh, highly conditional, and it's steeped in cultural weight. At 6:55 a.m., she sends a warm reopening.
Kerr-Kenny.
This tiny phrase is so powerful because it represents the first invitation to repair the damage.
Let's decode the Scots. Kerr-Kenny means what exactly?
It means yes, clan member, or yes, trusted friend, maybe even kin. By using this specific term, she's offering to restore the kinship and the trust that was broken by those 24 hours of silence.
So it's a genuine chance for him to step back inside the circle of trust.
It is, but it comes with a test.
Which arrives moments later at 7:35 a.m., the crest offering.
The message is, look at meffing can crest clanny.
Look at my effing crest clan member.
This is the moment Jack seals his fate. The case file has an entire background section dedicated just to this cultural stake.
Because she was extending an offering of... Well, it was more than just a picture.
So much more. It was trust, culture, and profound vulnerability. The crest, to her, was far more than family decoration. The sources define it as heritage, honor, and a symbolic right to stand at her door.
So the invitation demanded not just presence.
It demanded profound, immediate respect. It was a litmus test of whether he respected her core identity, her very being.
So he wasn't just being asked to look at a picture. He was being asked to acknowledge the weight of her lineage and the seriousness of the emotional stakes she had just offered him.
Precisely. Missing a personal text is poor form, but ignoring a summons related to heritage and honor, that's a fundamental insult.
It transforms the interaction?
It completely transforms it from a simple relational spat into something of far greater cultural consequence.
The invitation is then formalized at 8:02 a.m., and this is where she makes the weight explicit and time-bound. We need the deep dialect analysis of this final summons.
The message is, I, a waddin' for a feckanor, and I'm no it in a merity bitty.
Okay, break that down.
She is saying, yes, I waited for a effing hour, and I'm not waiting anymore, little one.
Itty bitty.
Itty bitty. Notice the critical element here. She reclaims and weaponizes the minimizing language he used against her.
He called her chill bitty, small one.
And now she calls him itty bitty. She turns that diminutive, dismissive language right back on him. She's signaling that he is the one who has failed to measure up, and her patience, the grace period, is over.
So the clock is ticking from 8:02 a.m., and this is where the timeline exposes his intent, right? During this non-reply period.
It's damning. The time frame from 8:02 a.m. to 10:27 a.m. is the period of the non-reply in strike one. For 2.5 critical hours, Jack is completely absent from the conversation.
But he's not offline.
That's the key.
No.
The source material is ruthless here. The timeline confirms he was logged in repeatedly during this exact window.
So he was digitally present, he was browsing, doing other things.
And actively, willfully choosing to ignore the explicit cultural invitation she had extended.
He saw the invitation and chose to prioritize something else. So when he finally appears at 10:27 a.m., the deceit is just compounded.
He delivers Exhibit 8. His lie.
Hey, up and about kind of lol.
This is the fatal miscalculation. Strike one is secured. The case file is adamant. There is no mention of the crest, no recognition of her weight, no apology, and zero care for the explicit offering she made.
And he lies. He lies about waking up to excuse his 2.5-hour digital absence.
And that lie functions to completely erase the entire event she initiated. The invitation, the cultural offering, the weight, her patience, all gone.
Wait, I'm actually shocked by the level of calculated disrespect here. Claiming to be waking up allows him to completely bypass charge 3.
Which is disrespect of an offered heritage crest.
He pretends the invitation never happened.
Exactly. He ignores the very ground he is standing on, and the sources conclude that by choosing deceit over basic acknowledgement of the crest, he stepped firmly onto the thin ice of irreversible consequence.
So this is it. This is the moment.
This is the moment the relationship becomes irreparable. The second he chooses the lie and the deflection over the honor of the crest.
And Sherry's reaction is immediate and profoundly symbolic. It moves directly into the phase the file calls, the sealing of the gates.
Between 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. And this is where the documentation just comes alive. It becomes a highly ritualized ceremony of closure.
She deletes her 3 messages first.
Immediately, removing any trace of the invitation itself. Then she replaces her profile photo with a countdown. But the physical and digital exhibits placed at the gate are the key to understanding the finality of it all.
Tell us about the ancestral witness and the sanctuary seal.
Okay, so the ancestral crests, Sutherland, McGregor, Macmillan, they're prominently displayed. This is not casual decoration. These are the named clans of her lineage, and they are posted as ancestral witness to his failure of honor.
So his disregard is now witnessed and judged by her entire heritage.
Exactly. And next, the number 6 seal is placed. Within the context of the 6th house, this signifies her sanctuary, her physical and emotional boundaries. By placing the seal, she declares that boundary is now closed and fortified against him.
The thin ice warning sign goes up, explicitly defining his actions, and then the return of his own words. I find the poetic justice of this astounding.
It is brilliant. Exhibit 2, his handwritten note containing the original dismissive phrase, just fucking chillin' bitty, is physically placed at the sealed gate.
It's a perfect feedback loop of consequence.
It is. He is now locked out, standing on cracking ice with the very words he used to minimize her, now serving as the epitaph of the relationship. The exact spot where he told her to chill is the spot from which he is now permanently barred.
The entire landscape of their dynamic has shifted from invitation to inescapable documented verdict.
Which leads us directly to the final professional execution of that verdict.
Part 3.
Saturday, November 22nd, 6 p.m. The release of the single via Sherry Harris Music 2 Smart For You Records. The song is called The Shaming of a Kerr-Kenny.
This is the ultimate public statement of consequence. The judgment is delivered, ensuring his failure is permanently recorded and broadcast.
And we absolutely have to dive into the deep dialect analysis here because the Scots tongue is used not just for color, but for maximum impact and, frankly, formal insult.
Let's look at the opening stanza. It's full of this bitter mockery.
It is. Hey, Clenny, come and hey, kick at my fickin' crest. Ha-ha, but he'd need to grow up first.
Come and have a look at my crest. She's mocking the very invitation he failed to accept.
Precisely. And the immediate assertion, he'd need to grow up first, sets the thesis for the entire song. His failure was due to immaturity, an inability to handle the seriousness of her world.
And this is followed by a visceral demand for accountability.
The central command of the shaming.
Puss the moot his feckamoos, and drag him solo over here to Tayet.
It is a demand for masculine adult responsibility. Pull his thumb out of his effing mouth. It's an instruction for him to cease being a petulant child hiding from consequence and to physically or metaphorically drag himself over to the gate to face what he's done.
This is the core message of that Highland expectation, isn't it?
It is. Honor demands immediate maturity and accountability.
And she solidifies the ending of the waiting period by saying, I waited long enough. I'm nae wait nae more.
Yes, I waited long enough. I'm not waiting anymore. The dynamic has completely reversed. Now she is the judge and he is the supplicant.
And this is where the conflict elevates from a personal disagreement to a full-blown cultural war.
Yeah.
We have to analyze the profound significance of the Highland versus Lowland insult.
This is where it gets really deep. She asserts her status with the line, "Tay Highland, Sutherland, McGregor, ye fickin' Lowland cunt with ye Kerr-Kenny."
Wow. Okay, so why are those specific clans, Sutherland, McGregor, Macmillan named? What historical weight are they bringing to bear against this Kerr-Kenny figure?
This is where the cultural critique gains its sharpest edge. The named clans, Sutherland, McGregor, Macmillan, they represent this fierce, resilient, and deeply traditional Highland heritage.
These are clans associated with honor.
Intense loyalty, historical resistance. By asserting herself as a woman of this older line, she invokes centuries of history and expectation.
And by contrast, what does the lowland designation imply in this context?
Yeah.
Because that's clearly the insult.
Oh, it's a huge insult. Ye feckin' lowland cunt would ye Kerr-Kenny isn't random. Historically, lowlanders were often seen by Highlanders as less tied to the intense, kinship-based honor system of the mountains.
So she's implying.
The sources imply the Kerr-Kenny name, coupled with the lowland epithet, signifies someone who is transient, dishonorable, lacking a strong spine, and failing to adhere to the code of conduct required to interact with a woman of the Highland tradition.
So she's saying, you disrespected my honor with your transient, spineless words, which is exactly what one would expect from a lowland peasant.
That's the subtext. It significantly raises the stakes. He didn't just hurt her feelings, he committed a form of cultural treason against her lineage.
And she follows it up. Kerr-Kenny words, we ne honor nor spine. Ye spoke te alas on an older line.
And that confirms it. The offense is the profound lack of honor. He failed to treat her with the respect due to someone of her heritage. The personal slight of Chill Biddy is now codified as a failure of honor against an entire ancestral line.
Let's analyze the poetic imagery of consequence and shame. The closure of the gate is so definitive, the yets didn't bide open.
Yet means gates. The gates did not stay open for him. The grace period is over. He came with words like a bairn own a tear.
Came with words like a crying child.
Right. Hiding. It reinforces that earlier image. Hit a hint, shame, fear, a thumb disappear. He's hiding from responsibility, confirming the diagnosis of immaturity.
But the most enduring part of the lyrics is how Sherry positions herself not just as the victim, but as the lasting environmental consequence he can never escape.
Yes, she becomes the haunting judgment. The storm on the hill, the cry of the crow. The echo yell here when the night turns black.
She ensures that even in his solitude, he is reminded of his failure.
Exactly. The source notes that Highland women did not wait alone. Highland women don't wait alone. They have the ancestors and the entire clan ethos supporting their judgment.
So the song is the permanent record, the final, inescapable judgment. Yelkin the shame of what ye did to me.
You will know the shame of what you did to me. It is the ceremonial public execution of the relationship and his honor within her social sphere. He is left standing in his ain damn smoke.
The smoke of his own defensive, deceitful actions.
Blocked out forever, branded by the shame delivered in the strong, formal language of her heritage.
We must now rewind just a bit to the hours immediately preceding the song's release on Saturday, D-Day, to fully understand Jack's final fatal mistakes.
Right, because throughout Thursday and Friday, the source material notes the continuation of his negligence. This is charge 4, negligence through inconsistency.
So his failure to offer a sincere repair on Wednesday morning just initiated 2 more days of destructive behavior.
Exactly. Cherie remained symbolically withdrawn. The thin ice image was the only communication she was sending. And yet, Jack maintained this pattern of deflection, hot and cold communication, refusal to address the core issue.
And this inconsistency, according to charge 4, caused severe emotional strain.
It prolonged her dysregulation. It just kept the wound open.
Then at 5:03 a.m. Saturday morning, Sherry delivers her final meticulous statement. This isn't just a text message, is it?
No, the sources call it her legal filing.
It's the evidentiary roadmap.
It really is. She meticulously accounts for the 5 days of abandonment and hurt, and she directly links her physical suffering to his behavior. This comprehensive documentation forms the foundation for charge 5.
Emotional endangerment.
Yes. She explicitly details the resulting headache, the sleeplessness, and her reliance on prescribed medication, specifically Ativan-Usol, tied directly to his pattern of conduct within the documented time frame.
It's a literal calculation of the emotional and physical cost.
And it demands accountability for tangible harm.
But instead of recognizing the gravity of this formal document, Jack's response, just 1 minute later at 5:04 a.m., is instantaneous deflection.
And the use of the ultimate shield.
His daughter.
The immediate use of the daughter as a shield. Sorry, Cherry, I've got my little girl. He attempts to leverage parental responsibility to excuse his continued non-response.
But this is where the timeline is just absolutely unforgiving.
It is brutal. The source material explicitly confirms that his daughter did not arrive until Thursday.
So the entire 5-day crisis began on Tuesday and Wednesday, before the daughter was even present.
This exposes the deflection as calculated, self-serving, and just dishonest.
That is a profound deception. He's not just avoiding responsibility, he is actively manipulating the situation, using his own child as an excuse for actions that occurred before the child was even there.
It is the ultimate failure of honor. It compounds the disrespect shown to the crest, and then he escalates the gaslighting, claiming Cherie's document of his negligence is unfair at 5:12 a.m.
And then the final twist, reversing the blame entirely at 5:47 a.m.
He attempts to twist her documented need for presence and honesty into an unreasonable, selfish demand.
His response is what?
So what you're saying is, I'm supposed to put my daughter aside and be with you.
Which completely misrepresents her 5:43 a.m. statement.
Completely. Her statement detailed past failures, specifically the Tuesday and Wednesday failures of presence. The timeline confirms he ignored every timestamp, every truth, and his own documented neglect just to seize the moral high ground of fatherhood.
His final strike at 5:49 a.m., lecturing her on expectations, completely seals the rupture just moments before the song drops.
He fundamentally recommits to the core misconduct minimization and deflection that started the whole incident 5 days earlier. He proves himself permanently incapable of the accountability required to stand at her gate.
Which brings us to the formal verdict rendered. This is from the gatekeepers of the 6th House, Charge 6, Abandonment at the Gate.
The findings review all the evidence, the chill biddy, the 24-hour absence, the ignored crest, the lie about waking up, and the final deflection using his daughter. The conclusion is definitive.
Jack Thomas Kerr-Kenny
did step upon the thin ice of his own making. He is found guilty on all 6 counts.
And the final judgment is just chilling in his accuracy.
His downfall was not forced. His downfall was earned. He's formally locked out, facing the consequence of his actions, standing on cracking ice under the crest he ignored.
The ultimate fate locked out of the sanctuary.
Yes.
Okay, so this is where we need to step back and analyze the human element of this deep dive. The entire 5-day process, from the initial chill biddy to the ultimate shaming, it was a series of escalating invitations to repair the damage.
It was. There were off-ramps he just refused to take.
So what was the exact script Jack could have followed to prevent this permanent rupture?
Well, the sources are remarkably clear that the issue was not his inability to show up immediately. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the dishonor of his response. Accountability was the only way to honor the invitation.
And we can identify 2 critical, specific moments where he could have acknowledged reality and offered the required repair.
2 huge moments.
The first failure point, the point of absolute honor, came immediately after the crest offering on Wednesday morning at 10:27 a.m.
Instead of lying about waking up, that infamous, hey, up and about kind of lull, he had to acknowledge the explicit invitation and the weight of her heritage. He was logged in. He was aware of the time he had been given.
What specific phrasing would have honored the cultural stakes involved? What could he have said?
I think the apology needed to be 2-pronged. It needed to address the initial emotional dismissal and the heritage slight.
Okay.
So something like, I am deeply sorry for minimizing your dysregulation with chill biddy 2 days ago. That was wrong.
So acknowledge the first mistake first.
Yes. And then, I saw your crest invitation, and I realize now that I disrespected your heritage and your trust by ignoring your weight. That was dishonorable, and I sincerely apologize.
That admission of dishonor, that would have recognized the cultural weight she placed upon the crest.
It would have met her on her terms. But he chose deceit instead, and that moved the incident past the point of cultural redemption.
Then the second, and perhaps the final, chance for salvage came just hours before the song was released on Saturday morning.
Yes, at 5:04 a.m., after Sherry delivered her detailed clinical accounting of her pain. Charge 5, emotional endangerment.
Instead of immediately deploying the daughter shield and gaslighting her about expectations,
he needed to validate her documented hurt. He needed to prove he had read her statement and recognized the real cost of his negligence.
So his reply should have been an admission of fault based on the evidence she presented.
Exactly. Something like, I am horrified that my actions caused you such documented pain, the sleeplessness, the reliance on medication. I failed to be present and accountable earlier this week, and I apologize for the specific, measurable harm my negligence has caused you.
Validation was the only currency accepted at that sealed gate.
It was. And by choosing to lecture her and deflect the blame using his daughter, he solidified the verdict that he just lacked the character to engage with her on a mature, honorable level.
The detailed sources document how a simple, flippant phrase, chill biddy, was the seed.
And the repeated refusal to take responsibility for its consequences, culminating in the disrespect of the Highland Crest, was the water that nourished the final, dramatic, and permanent rupture.
His downfall was ultimately predicated on the choice between honesty and deflection.
And he consistently chose deflection, which the gatekeepers identified as dishonor. The result was the sealing of the gate, the universe cracking beneath him, and the final verdict rendered in the strong Scots tongue, the shaming of a Kerr-Kenny.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? The profound detail of this deep dive shows how documentation, cultural honor, and forensic accountability can turn a private disagreement into a public, permanent verdict.
And the thin ice incident teaches us that ignoring a declaration of vulnerability or failing to acknowledge an invitation of heritage and trust is not just a mild oversight. In these contexts, it is read as a formal rejection.
It escalates a momentary failure into a capital offense in the court of personal honor.
It really does.
And here is a final provocative thought for you to chew on. What are the crests in your own life? Those specific, vulnerable invitations of trust or heritage that your friends, your partners, or your colleagues extend to you.
And if you are failing to show immediate presence and respect for them, are you too standing on cracking ice, just waiting for the inevitable documented consequence of your own chill-bitty deflection?
The demand for honor is universal, regardless of dialect. The moment you fail to acknowledge the things that are dearest to someone,
you have earned the shame of standing outside the sealed gate.
A profound warning indeed. Thank you for diving deep with us today.